love our little introduction music. It's so nice.
Hi, friends.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our last session of the day today to close out this beautiful Saturday. Today, we are actually going to turn our attention to our lovely co-host, Kai. So I know what. So Kai has been up to quite a lot over the past few years. She's the creator of multiple tarot decks. The first deck, as we learned earlier, that she ever owned was the one that she created, the Badass Unicorns, right? Yeah, which I actually own. Thank you. I know. It's pretty magical. I love it a lot. And also recently created tarot runes, which is super cool. So really combining multiple divination tools into a new creation, a new tool together. Podcast host, creator of Our Daily Magic, which if you are here, you are familiar with. Let's see, really just all around pretty incredible human being, has lived probably about 10 lives in this one. And yeah, super magical. So I'm going to let Kai take it away. We are talking about creating decks today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be in this space. I almost don't know what this is like, to be honest. So I feel amazing. Oh, thanks, Monique. Hey. So I'd love to talk about tarot deck creation, about like creating divination tools in general. That's been pretty. Oh. Thank you. Thanks for being here. It was awesome to get to start to talk about that in our earlier panel discussion. About how there's automatic writing, and I love to engage in automatic drawing. It's just something that tends to come to me, and I have been reluctant to share. So I'm going to put that, to the side and actually share more. But what's cool is that one of the things that inspires me the most is going out in nature. I love going for a walk and then coming back and feeling so inspired. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff that I want to do because I was just I just got all these downloads from being outside. And the stillness for me will do that, period. If I sit still too long, I'll be like, oh my gosh, there's more stuff that I want to do. But yeah, it's been really awesome going through the deck design process. And there's some things that I think if you haven't done that process, it's really a journey. That's something that people don't really know, is that when you create some type of divination tool, that tool takes you on a journey. So when I'm drawing and I'm going through all 78 cards, the cards they'll show up in my life as I'm designing them. They're handing me the inspiration. They're like, this is the energy of that card, by the way. And it's really a deep process. So being willing to design a deck means being willing to experience all 78 of the cards, and their reverse, if that's what you're designing. Because these are actually spirits. Each card is a spirit, and they speak to you, when you're going through this process, not to harm you or anything like that, but to help you, to help you know what it is that you're bringing forth into the world. And it is, it's a process. It's pretty cool, to know that you're creating something and that something is also creating itself through you. So that's what I love about creating a period, is that this thing has a consciousness and it's using you as a channel to come into the world. So tarot decks, they do the same thing in my experience. And tarot runes, these things. There's right. Just another way to divine. They're little capsulated pieces of art, and on the other side there's a symbol and a Roman numeral number for the suite and on the card. Ooh, and we've got some comments too. It says, I love using Angel Oracle cards. I've always wanted to design my own deck. I started, have to get back to it. Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yes, we do.
I wish I knew who that was. Look at that. And I'm happy to show some of my how I start. Because a lot of times some people just don't know where to start, and I could totally relate. When I began, I just had something that just wanted to express itself. So I just started. And I didn't even know what it was when I began. And I started drawing with pencil on trace paper. So I'll draw on trace, and you can't really see it that well, but you can kind of see it, right? And then what I do is I take another piece of trace, and then I trace that with ink. So then it starts to look like this. There you go. You can see it a little bit better. So that's a little cup of magic right there. And then after I do, oh, it's done. Awesome. And then after I trace with the ink, then I scan it into the computer, and I use Photoshop to color it digitally. And then from there, after I actually make that, then I format it and put it into tarot card speak. So these are some of the examples. This is from the 80s deck. And let's see if you can guess the significance here. You ready? So this is
Mr. T.
That's right. And what's his famous phrase?
I pity the fool.
So there's there's a lot of ways that we can really thanks, Dawn. I'll put Dawn's comments up here. This is 10 of Cups. So 10 of Cups, you can see what I did was I took the liberty of using solo cups. So there's actually 10 of them in there if you count them. And then on the screen is, what's that on the screen?
I know what that is.
Is that the Brady Bunch?
It is. So
it's 10 old school TV.
Right? Yeah, exactly. This is the 80s. We got an antenna on there. So the reason why there's Brady Bunch on there, yep, Monique and Alina guessed it right, is because 10 of Cups is about fulfillment. It's specifically about fulfillment in terms of family. So, sitting in front of the TV is something that families do a lot. And the Brady Bunch is reminiscent, of a full family, and being in family life. So it's just, these are the things that would just come to me. I'd be like, oh, that's a good idea, and then start drawing it. Here's another one. What's this?
Are cute little Care Bears.
They are. They're Care Bears.
But they're holding each other's hands, and they're doing that care power, that when they care and they stare.
Right? So one thing that I'd hope that you notice is and this is something that I really learned as a deck designer. Yay, Monique got that one too. Is that you see this? the pictures, that are reminiscent of these things, that went on these brands that we recognize in the 80s, there's nothing on here that says Brady Bunch. Why? I'll tell you in a second. And there's nothing on their tummies. There's no indication that these are actually Care Bears. And go ahead, Juju. Would you like to say why?
No copyright infringements.
Exactly. So one, I drew this myself, and two, they do not have the brand markings or anything that is, actually indicative of the actual brand. It's all implied. And
Also
that is
the
done.
cup. Also the cup. Because I
Also,
know the cup. I know
right? So these are things that I learned as a deck designer, that copyright infringement is something really serious. And if you do things that can be slightly recognizable like this, you've got to make sure that you're not using any trademarks. You're not actually using the brand name, and that protects you. So there's a lot of rules. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of things to be careful of, when you're designing decks. And I've learned a lot of it through trial and error. And also I went through, when going through like the first decks that I created, I had to be willing to be wrong and get corrected and get help. I do have lawyers. I do have intellectual property lawyers. I have trademark lawyers. I have lawyers that help me out with copyright. And I had several meetings with them before I even put this deck out to make sure that I was covered. So there's a lot to know, and also a lot that I love to share, with artists or with creatives who are doing things in the spiritual realm, because you want to be able to feel good, like about getting your work out there. You don't want to like half-ass it and like, feel like, oh, I hope nobody finds out what I did. No, just get the answers. The answers are accessible. And there's people like me who you can ask. I love talking to people about their deck designs. I love talking to people about the work that they do, and to share the experience that I've had, because I personally just like to be of service and like to help people. But yeah, there's so much. So
I love that you say that, Kai, because there's this thing that's circulating around that I've been hearing, like this imposter syndrome, and then the copycats. And then it's like, but imitation is the best form of flattery. And although yes, it is, there's a way to be respectful about it. I see your cards, and I'm a 70s baby, so I think I can name every single card and item that you have there, like to the T. And in a sense, I don't find it that, you were being any kind of copycat, or that you were trying to, put anything out disrespectfully, or as they say, ride somebody else's gravy train. That saying that it's like, oh, well, they were successful, so I'm going to do the same thing that, they were doing, but on a smaller scale. And even though if I get a couple of people, they won't know. No, put that energy out there the right way. So that way, when you feel proud of a product you put out, you could truly feel proud, because there's nothing like that feeling that you feel so good. And like a fly swatter, it comes, it's like, pew, and you know that you should have done better. Start off on that right foot, the right time, the right way, the first time. Amazing. I really like that you say that. Thank you.
Yeah. And what you reminded me of is that after I published the deck, there was a few people I saw that also released an 80s deck, and I was like, this is interesting. And I said to myself, all right, how am I going to be about this? And you know what? I took it as a compliment. I took it as, hey, this is something that people really enjoy. And, this is just validation for me to continue spreading the word about what it is that I do. And I was flattered, that someone would do that. It's not my journey. I've got ideas coming out of my ears. I can't make these decks fast enough. And if that's someone's choice, that's someone's choice. and they will deal with what they have to deal with.
Of course, we all know through magic that the universe is no joke. What's coming for you is coming for you in both good and bad. And we have the choices to make beautiful products. I want to know about your runes.
Oh, the runes. Okay. So the runes, they came to me as an idea because I used to design jewelry. Actually, I used to design buttons, to be specific. And when I say buttons, I don't mean the ones that you pin onto your garment. I mean the ones that you actually use to, like, do your shirt, to do the back of your dress. And they looked exactly like this. This is about it's a little less than an inch in diameter. And these buttons, they had 2 holes in them, and people would purchase them for knitting, for crocheting, use on the top of a hat. And the story that I have about the button business and why that brand dissolved is that I had a distributor, and the distributor they were amazing, right? The only thing is that when I went into that distribution contract, I knew nothing about pricing. So I offered my product at a super low price to that distributor. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I was like, I just want this contract. I just want to be a part of, this organization. And so what happened is that distributor, like, what they do is they shop you out to different retail places, and they secure retail contracts for you, but at an even lower price, right? Because the distributor takes a piece of that as well. So they got me a contract with Walmart, and Walmart ordered 5,000 units from me. And I remember that I was up for about 3 days, no sleep. My fingers were bleeding because of the manual drilling and all of the things that I had to do to each of the buttons to get them ready for to be retail ready. And I was crying. I was like, I'm never going to do this to myself again. Like, talk about a humbling moment. I was so happy, that I had the Walmart contract, and you can actually still find them on the Walmart website, which is kind of cool. But like, that experience, I was in over my head. And to top it all off, because I had negotiated such a low price for myself, I barely even made any money. So I completed the order, and I dissolved the business because I was like, I really need to re-strategize something that is not going to be so hard on me, like in terms of physical manual labor, and also like something that I like really enjoy and feels purposeful. So emerged.
That was rich wisdom. Rich wisdom.
And like I said, you've lived 10 lives in this one. There was one example that I actually didn't know about yet. So maybe 11 lives.
Thanks. So these are created with the same process. They're 100% waterproof, moisture proof. They're totally sealed. All parts of this design is unique and unique to me. And you can order them in any color. You can even have your logo on the front of it if you so choose. And I learned a very valuable lesson about pricing, about, valuing my time, my creativity. And it's something that, a lot of designers go through. So I feel very fortunate for that experience. It was definitely a great lesson to learn, and also a great story to share. You know, when you create something that's pretty awesome, be prepared for it to blow up. Like the phrase goes around, you know, careful what you wish for. Just prepare for what you wish for. You know, maybe hire some help. You know, start to think about scaling. Like think about pricing. You know, like that might be great small scale. But what does it look like when you start dealing with third parties, whether they're distributors, whether they're retailers or wholesalers? You know, what does that look like? That can give you a lot of wisdom and save you a lot of heartache. For sure. And oh yes.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I'm gonna show some of these comments here. Thank you. Thank you. I will most certainly include the links to the Etsy shop. Thank you, Dawn. And I'll show the other deck, the first deck. And also, I guess I'll drop a link in the comments. This is something that I have been holding near and dear to my heart, and that is that I want to help other deck designers. You know, again, like I'm saying, what good is all of this experience, you know, and stuff like that if it just stays in here? You know, I really want to be able to share it because I realize that these decks, they're not just for me. You know, there are people who would love to use them, who find the 80s entertaining. You know, for me, it was actually a lot of healing to do with my inner child. Well, let me go into that story. I realized that I had gotten into a space where I was like, business, 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 you know, and I wasn't really acknowledging the, you know, the inner child that really wanted to just draw and play. And, you know, instead, whenever I would go to draw, I'd be like, okay, it has to be for this, you know, or I have to draw for so long or for this much, you know, and it became a task. Like I sucked all of the fun out of the creativity. So what I started doing is I started actually scheduling play dates with myself, where I do things like draw. Or I remember one time I went on a field trip with my inner child. We went to Five Below, and I just bought a bunch of stuff that I didn't even need, but that my inner child wanted. And I gave myself the, like, you know, the license to do that. So I have a million sketchbooks, but on that date, I just bought another one. I bought a huge one. And then, you know, stuff like this comes out. You know, this is playing with the inner child, you know, and that's what that's like. Oh, guess who we got with us? It's Maggie.
Hey. Hi. What's good?
Hi, Maggie.
Hello. I'm sorry for the late arrival. I'm in the middle of moving and transitioning today, so but I wanted to hop on and say hi and connect with you all.
No worries. So glad you could pop in. Well, we were just talking about deck designing and specifically entertaining the inner child in that process with design and drawing. If you want to pop in while we have you, how long do we have you for?
Just a couple minutes. You know, I'll say some things because I did design a card deck couple months ago, I guess. It was more of a card, like affirmation type of work, and I would love to design more, like to work with another designer to get more of the like artwork, but this first one was really just like I did it kind of based on numbers. So like the first one was I am the creator of my reality. and like that number one is really like about that, like I'm the one here, like doing what I need to do. So but yeah, with designing it, I guess through the process, I'm very like analytical, and going through the words of these like pretty powerful affirmations, it was difficult to um, to really go over it. And I published them myself, I guess.
Oh,
And I just found a website. It's like makeplayingcards.com. If you guys want to make a note of that, that they did a great job. Um, and I did one side was the affirmations that, and it was pretty cool. I had this idea of having it be reflected and on each side. So like playing cards, it's reflective. So the card affirmation was written on one reflection and then on the other side as well. And then on the other side, the back of the card, um, I had worked with a designer to help me with my logo and everything. And I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I want to create this card deck. So she created something for me, but I was like, I don't like it. So I ended up just, I had Adobe that I've been pretty familiar with. So I just went at it and made like a cool, like reflective kind of geometric design. And the whole business is called Elixirations. And it's really about like having that intention with your cup. And so that's why the affirmations came in, um, to, I guess, when I started the creative process of the business, it was about writing the affirmations as like in that space, like either having the affirmations ready to, so I made a little booklet talking about kind of like the process of it, of that idea of stirring your intention into your drink, that I feel is a very like magical like little twist on the simple things. So yeah, it was really great just to go through the creative process of that even if it wasn't a perfect product in my eyes, I know it was still this like really awesome like reflection of my creative work that that it was really great. And I'm sorry I don't have a deck like right now. But yeah, I guess that's a little bit of what how I went through it. And like I feel like if you were to create a deck, having somebody with those editing skills is can be really like great. And if you do have like a vision for a certain kind of artwork, that being like how I guess I look at like tattoos like this, like you look at somebody's like artwork for what it is, and if you can, like if you know their type of art that matches you, that there's like a beautiful like relationship of creativity that can happen with that. Because I would love to create a like another deck, with somebody who can do like beautiful artwork and just do more of like words, like more of like emotional words that because like I love cards as well, like tarot or oracle cards, because they have that sense of magic of like trusting whatever is on the other side of that card. It's a message. It's like it means something. And that was like where my fascination with cards, like where it even just like comes from. But do you guys have anything like how like what's your like relationship with like divination cards? Oh,
Go ahead, Chloe. Well, Personally, I mean, like, I love them. And for me, I use them like as a prompt. Like the card comes up, and even though I have, like I may have knowledge of if it's a tarot card, like what the symbolism is and stuff like that. What it feels like to me is like it's like a prompt for my soul, and it calls through what it calls through. So for me, it'll like, prompt certain words or like phrases for me to deliver to the person that's in front of me or to myself if I'm doing a reading for myself. And I feel, like a connection to its creator, when I use them. So, even if I'm using tarot, the card that is pulled may pull something different from like through me, just for the person, to hear. So I love how, like I was saying earlier, that they're pretty much like spirits, Special relationship.
Yeah, I feel that. They are, and it is about so the name of the deck is Cup of Intention, because that intention that you put into the creation of the card is a part of it. And I think that's a part I didn't realize, I think, in making it, until I saw it, that this is a part of me. I was like, oh yeah. Like, and then I think, like, because of that relationship with spirit, it is a channel, like going through the creation of, what is the vibration that, or what are the words that carry and like solidify, like, okay, I am this. Like, one of my favorite ones is, I am a magnetic match with my desired destiny. And I like, I don't know where that came from. Like, it just worked, and I was like, okay, I'm onto something here. Like, okay. Like, that that the words and the art really speak for itself. That, yeah.
Yeah. So just tying all of this together, I like the contrast that we have between your experience, Maggie, and your experience, Kai, about how, Maggie, you're creating something from scratch. You are birthing this, from step one. And when we're recreating a tarot deck, of course, we have the building blocks already there. Excuse me, our little guest speaker here. But so there's that soul, that spirit that's present, and then you get to combine yours and co-create truly, with the spirit that's already present in that specific card, and then putting yours and what's specific to you and a piece of you into that. And this really, and then of course co-creation with, spirit, source, universe, etc. So at least 3 parties present in that co-creation. And then Maggie, you're talking about truly coming in, with you and the universe, and you're saying, getting these downloads and like, where did this come from? Wow, that's such magic, right? That co-creation is beautiful too. And then, that learning in that process and moving forward, knowing, you said you want to bring in someone to do the design aspect maybe and help that flourish, and bringing in even more co-creation. I like all the different avenues we're exploring in this conversation right now about all the co-creation, even if it's just you, right? Just you, but it's not just you, in making these tools, and hearing that in your different processes. And I hope our viewers too, I know there are a couple of you out there that are thinking about or wanting to have started designing your own decks. So I'm getting a lot from hearing y'all. I love it. Thank you.
It's so magical to me because I can hear both of you talking about your process, but then I can also feel the energy that you're putting behind it. And what a gift and a blessing that would be to another person just learning or adding it to their collection, that they also get a piece of you, but that energy, that energetic, the creativity and the happiness that it brings you, all of that transfers into the cards in the deck and it gets delivered to the next person just the same. It's it's so magical to me. I love that part.
Yeah, agreed. And everybody's process is unique. So I wouldn't dare propose one size fits all, for anyone. There's so much, in the relationship, like Maggie was saying, between you and your cards, between you and your creation, and also the way that you receive inspiration. So there's a lot to consider. And again, when going through the process, I felt like it was a process of getting to know myself, as well. Just another, road to self-discovery through something that can also be super fun and that you can share with the world.
Yeah, I love that. That was beautifully put. Um, I also like while I was making these cards, I haven't done it yet, but I would love to, go somewhere random and just give them out to people that, like that same offering of, whatever card you get, like there is that like you're getting it for a reason. So I always had this like little vision in the back of my head about like going to coffee shops and just like putting them down on the table and like see who, like just give them to people and and yeah, so they are because cards can also be so like lighthearted that that sparks that sense of like hope and joy and love and but they can also be like very serious of like tarot cards like nine of swords like ah so the depth and the variability of cards is um, just so awesome. I want to ask, is anyone familiar with I think her name's Claire something. She's black in the moon and she has tarot cards and there's other rune cards, and I have this deck called Oracle of Oddities, and it is by far one of my favorite decks to use. Just putting a suggestion out there, I guess. um, but yeah, just that comfortability that we can all connect with each other with these cards, that it kind of um, makes it just more comfortable to connect with others, to like, hey, like, I want to pick a card, that it is so like natural almost, and it slips in that like, oh hey, like we're talking magic here, like this is magical, we got a little spark of something going on, and that is the curiosity, the wonder, and the yeah, I just love it.
That is such an awesome idea, Maggie. And you just brought me back to New Paltz for a second, because in New Paltz, I had this situation where I was homeless with my children. And I just happened to go to Starbucks. I was going to Starbucks every single day because I had lost my home. So that was the only place that I can go to run my business. And they knew me so well, and they always gave me a huge cup of coffee. And there was this kid that went in, and they know the stories about me with cards. The only cards that I have is playing cards. So to me, Chloe had me realize those are my tarot cards. But this boy gave me a 7 of hearts. And I took that card and I used it as a bookmark. And I didn't realize what that card was until not too long ago. And I was like, wow. And just now, just to remind myself, because I don't have it in the front of my mind, but it's like, that card, it says it's symbolic of healing power of love. How much healing did I need at that time? Amazing. So we never know the message and the magic that a card can give.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Tarot can heal us in a lot of ways. And, again, when sharing one's creative expression, there's a lot that goes along with that as well. Having a tarot deck, or an oracle deck or an affirmation card deck or card deck period, there's a lot of credibility that goes with that. There's a lot of commitment, that goes with seeing that whole thing through, from beginning to end. And there's so many like layers to the process, that I give everyone who's done a deck a lot of credit, like seriously. And if you think about it, people say, hey, I'm a published author. People who've published texts, they're published artists, and there's just as much, if not more, credibility that goes to a published artist as does a published author. This just happens to be their chosen, expression form. And again, there's a lot of credit, that goes along with that. And I also understand and have compassion, for people who start, creating decks and then, get sidetracked along the way. This is just the nature of things. Sometimes people start writing a book and then they get distracted, or they go on vacation, or they have kids, and they're like, waiting to, to finish it up. And for those people, I'm here for you. There's tons of resources out there. There's so many different ways that we can just, like gather the courage, gather our community, and really get all of the momentum back up and, finish what we started.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, I really, yeah, just felt that.
And something else that came to me while you were talking is to remember that in the process of creation, sometimes it's just for ourselves, and it's not to be shared. Sometimes it's just the process that is necessary, and not the product. So, also.
Absolutely.
Ooh, a lot of magic up in here.
Right.
For real, because I'm listening to you and I'm listening to the messages and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, we really don't know how these things are going to touch a person's creativity, your own, someone else, together, collectively. We're all coming together and we're sharing all this love and light and magic and happiness. And it's like a beautiful, natural, organic collaboration that needs to continue forward. So everybody finds everybody. I'm gonna do a Chloe right now. Vote, 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 vote. We got two more to go. Let's do this. There's magic in the air. Everything is magic. Didn't you see the opening commercial now? Magic matters.
Yes, your magic matters. Thank you, Maggie, for being here. Do you have any parting words to share with everyone?
Yeah, I'm just reflecting all of the magic that you are and I am and we are, and yeah, I really feel your words, and I'm so glad I just dropped in, like about to go like pack up a storage unit. So, yeah, that I guess just the simple things. It's the simple things that make it magical. And yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you for creating this space and this little virtual portal. It's really cool. It's really great. Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, which I'm sure is what Caillou was about to say as well. Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank all of you. I'm like, oh, there it is. We're reversed in our screen, so if we're pointing every which way, excuse us. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our viewers for being here, being present, participating in the discussion. And yes, vote. And we have a whole other 2 days to go. So don't forget, there's so much magic left. Today was beautiful. Yes, Kai, what you have some magic for us?
I just wanted to let everybody know that I shared a link in the group for those of you who've always wanted to, either start your deck or start it and didn't finish. There's deck design in a box that I whipped up that has all of the, the wisdom, different printing resources, different ways to stay focused, to stay organized, as you create your deck. And of course, a dialogue and a community to keep you accountable and to help you finish. So that link is in the group. Please feel free to join us and get that deck done.
Or start it.
Get it done. Get the deck done. Get the deck done.
Awesome. Thank you. This was so much fun. This was amazing. So much magic. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Juju. Thank you, Chloe. And thank you all for watching. We will see you mañana.